In the UK, latest data from IHS Markit shows the services sector enjoyed the strongest influx of new orders since mid-2018. It climbed to 53.9 in January, up from 50.0 in December, and was the strongest reading from September 2018. Well, the sector makes up about 80% of the economy and covers everything from restaurants to banking. But let's start with the intraday numbers with Juliana. Hello, Juliana. Good afternoon. So how much of the global market's rebound is flowing into the UK markets today, from currencies to the stock market?
Good afternoon, Chimaze. It seems as if, it's those PMI numbers really that the equities market is paying attention to, kind of batting away what's going on in the global economy. At intraday, FTSE All-Share is up 0.71%. The FTSE 100 is also up by 0.71%. And the FTSE 250 is up by 0.61%. In currencies, the pound slightly up on the dollar by 0.15%. Also up on the euro by 0.36% and up on the Japanese yen by 0.27%. You've made all the main points, Chimmy, but really these are PMI, the last of the trio of the PMI figures, are really important, particularly the service industry, because, yes, it does contribute 80% to the UK economy, and 50 being that benchmark between whether an economy is growing or contracting. 53 is fantastic, and it will be seen as a big boost to Boris Johnson in his post-Brexit trade negotiations.
All right, let's look at this new report from the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders in the UK. Say demand for new cars fell 7.3% in January. Any idea what's behind this decline?
Yeah, not great news for car manufacturers in the UK. This 7% fall is about 140-something thousand cars. And some headlines are calling it the downfall of the diesel, because at the height of diesel, they did make up about 50% of car sales in the UK. But with all of the environment awareness and, the influx of electric and hybrid vehicles, it does rapidly seem to be on a decline. A lot of people are saying it's consumer confidence, that some people are just happy to keep their car for an extra year, that there's no push, there's no urge to splurge on a brand new car. Used cars are doing particularly well. And it's really interesting. Just yesterday, as Boris Johnson launched COP26, which Glasgow, the UK, will be hosting in November, he did bring back the date of when he wants a ban on all diesel and petrol cars to 2035. Now, I know there has been some alarm on this, but this same data does show that the purchasing of electric vehicles has risen by over 200% in 2019. So even though there are going to be a lot of hurdles, I think this data that's come out today from the Society of Motor and Trade could show that electric vehicles is exactly what UK car consumers want.
All right, let's wrap up with this latest news from courier fraud and, of course, the crackdown on the crime by the authorities in the UK. Can you bring us up to speed with that?
Well, this courier fraud, a seemingly new fraud tactic that's been taking place by criminal gangs in the UK, mainly targeting older, vulnerable people. This morning, there was a series of arrests across England and Scotland of about 40 individuals. And they've been investigating and finding out that over the past 2 years, over £12 million has been lost in the scam. In fact, there was one victim who lost over £1 million in savings. They were left with only £130 in their account. And basically what these criminals are doing is they're calling up customers, pretending that they're from the police or that they're from a bank, and they're asking you for all of your personal information. And once you've given them their personal information, they say to stop this fraudulent activity from happening, you need to give us an amount of money. Now, for most of us, that would seem bizarre and something you wouldn't do. But of course, like I said, they're targeting the most vulnerable of individuals. So it has been happening over the past couple of years, but the government have cracked down and 40 individuals have been arrested this morning.
Wow, that's interesting, and that has to do with the same cybercrime that is ravaging the world right now, according to the latest report. Anyway, thank you, Juliana. Enjoy the rest of the day. In Asia Pacific, markets mostly traded higher today, building on gains from the previous session after stocks sold off recently due to worries over the new coronavirus outbreak. Chinese shares led gains in the region, with the Shanghai Composite up 1.25%. The Shenzhen Component Index rose 2.14%, and the Shenzhen Composite added 2.48%. Japan's Nikkei 225 advanced 1.02%, while the Topix Index added 1.04%. In South Korea, the Kospi Index erased some of its near 1% gains to trade up 0.36%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index gave up most of its gains of around 0.83% earlier to trade up 0.27%. Australia's benchmark ASX 200 rose 0.39%. In the U.S., stock futures turned higher in overnight trading after reports that a research team at a Young University had found an effective drug to treat people with the new coronavirus. Well, markets remain attuned to the coronavirus outbreak as confirmed cases in China near 25,000, claiming the lives of 490 people. Corporate earnings remain in focus, with a number of companies weighing the impact of the coronavirus on forecasts. General Motors, GlaxoSmithKline and Merck are among those reporting earnings before the opening bell, while Qualcomm and Foxconn are set to report after the close of trade. Well, away from markets, they're back here on the African continent. Ghana has sold Sub-Saharan Africa's longest ever Eurobond as part of a $3 billion deal that was almost 5 times oversubscribed. West Africa's second biggest economy issued a $750 million tranche, which amortized and has an average life of 40 years at 8.875%, making it the highest yielding sovereign dollar bond so far this year. Pricing was reduced from the initial talk of 9.4% as bids topped $14 billion. The government also sold $1.25 billion of debt with an average maturity of 6 years and a yield of 6.37%. A third segment of $1 billion has an average life of 14 years, yielding 8%. Ghana's new 40-year bond priced close to its existing 2051 notes. When Business Incorporated returns, of course, we talk more on coronavirus outbreak, but this time the impact on the African continent. To stay with us.